that was something that was from as a child, it was expected of me. You will become, you will do, you need to be. And it really didn't land well with me. I think that's probably where the rebellious side started, was don't tell me what to do. And I thought, if I'm going to give this thing called parenting a really good stab, then I probably need to show them what this looks like and be that person.
Welcome everyone to another episode of CEO Frequency. I'm super excited for today's episode because we have Mel Brandt, who is an incredible human being with so much knowledge and wisdom to share. And what I love about Mel is that in her bio, she says that, she realized along the way that she was building someone else's why. And I find that line really interesting because a lot of you guys listening to this podcast, a lot of the people I work with, we're working in corporate, we're working in some 9-to-5 job, we're doing something different than what you're doing now in your business, and probably can resonate with that line. I was building someone else's why. So what's my why? Why am I here on this earth? What am I here to do? And that's where your business was born from, most likely, more likely than not. So Mel, I'm super excited to have you here. I know you have so much expertise and so much wisdom. So let's just dive right in. Tell us about you and your journey.
Yes, thanks for having me. My journey, it's been fruitful, I guess is the word of the week we might put to that. But if we go right back to the start, I was that person that, I used to walk through a shopping center and I would see all these women having coffee and lunch together. And I used to think, what is it that you do for work? Like, surely you should be at work. Like, how do you have this much freedom? And I was really blind to the fact that there could have been something else out there. It was the 9-to-5. That's all I knew was possible. So when something came across my lap, I guess you could say, and it was a different opportunity, I sort of thought, wow, this is interesting. I didn't even know that something like this was, was available to me. And that was network marketing. Believe it or not, I'm not in any way, shape, or form plugging any business in this podcast. We are not affiliated with any company today, but it was very much part of my journey, and I had no idea that I could build a lifestyle around the people that I loved and cared about, and that's really where my journey started. Was dive in, have no idea what I was doing, and kind of learn as I went.
Wow, that's amazing. And yeah, I'm really curious what that was like to get started with network marketing of all things,
Yeah.
and then build something of your own, because that's a huge transition and I see a lot of people doing it, right?
Mm.
And sometimes network marketing is a great way to get started, right? To like learn how
Yeah.
business works, learn how to market, learn how to sell, learn how to build relationships. And ultimately a lot of people then move on from there to build something of their own. So
Mm.
I'm curious what that was like for you. What was that part of your journey and what was the transition?
Yeah, such a good question. For me, I lacked community as I grew up, so that's what attracted me to network marketing. Was there was all these like shiny faced people that I could get to hang out with. Communication is one of my highest values. And I just thought, wow, you're telling me that I can earn money and I can kind of hang out with these amazing people at the same time. For me, the friendships that I harnessed inside that company, they're lifelong for me, and still people that are very, very dear to me now. What it also did was gave me a taste of that rock star status. We came into the business, we leveraged social media, which 8 years ago now was something that not a lot of people were doing. Not a lot of people had created huge success using Facebook and Instagram and things like that. So for us, we saw the growth very, very quickly. We were able to hit the top of the company 16 months later. And, all the people in the business, oh my God, this is a rock star. We've not seen this before. And it was just such a nice feeling. If I'm going to tap into that for a moment, it was like, wow, I actually can do the things that I never ever thought were possible. I'd put so many other people on a pedestal thinking, well, they have something that I don't have. Maybe they had a better life. Maybe they've got more skills. We kind of fall into that place sometimes. And I realized really quickly, you have everything you need already inside of you, but now it's time for you to start tapping into that. So the journey was fast, very, very fast, very, very rewarding. The lessons I learned overnight in some cases were astronomical. But really, what I got out of that journey not only was being able to step outside of my 9 to 5 and quit my job, like I said, 8 years ago now, and I haven't had any need to return or want to return whatsoever. But there was a couple of facets. We are known for being a little bit rebellious when it comes to the online space and how we do things. And I remember my boss at the time saying to me, Mel, businesses like that don't work. You'll be back. And I remember ringing him when I hit the top of the company, and I said to him, I've earned more in the last 16 months than what you've probably paid most of your people in your office. And therefore, I feel like I've proved my point that this works. And, as much as that's probably got a bit of an immature streak to it, I found so much joy in showing the people that said that you can't, and telling the people that said that it doesn't work, well, look at me now. And that journey for us has just continued into that rebellious growth where it's like, well, you better get the popcorn because we're not going anywhere. So that's kind of how it eventuated for me. But the biggest gift out of all of it was that I actually saw a massive gap in the market. And what I saw was there was some, and I'll speak about women more so because that was, the audience that I attracted. But what I noticed was that there was a lot of women that succeeded and there was a lot of women that didn't. And I got really obsessed as to, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? If they're given the same resources, the same leaders, the same events, they're going to the same conferences, the videos they're watching are the same, the product's the same, pricing's the same. What's the difference? Why? And it was attraction marketing. That was the piece, was some people understood how to do it and some people didn't, and they referred back to our default, which is we're default built to sell. Go back to the olden days where we were swapping things, and I'll give you this if you give me this. It was very much a trade-off, and yeah. So I guess I became obsessed. Firstly, when we built out this company, I became obsessed in teaching people attraction marketing, and we started off in the social media space, teaching people, all of those pieces that they needed to know. And almost 6 years later now, it's evolved massively into being able to then look at the gaps inside business and therefore stop businesses bleeding. So the journey has been an absolute whirlwind. But I feel like it's only because my one motto is I must learn something every single day, whether or not it takes me 1 minute to learn it or all day in some cases, or sometimes several days. That's been my goal. So the knowledge that we have now is so vast that we're able to help people not only quite quickly, but also backed by strategy and also data as well. So I prided myself on making sure that I had only taught things that I had put into place inside my own business and things that I could actually show results on. And attraction marketing still to this day, 8 years later, is how we market and is how we continue to grow our audience every single day.
I love that. I love that. And I see that in you as well. What's interesting to me is you bring together two really unique energies in what you do. Your brand is very badass, right? Very rebellious, very cutting edge and edgy. And at the same time, you're implementing attraction marketing, which, people think of attraction, they think of like, soft or kind of like loving, and like they think of romance and things like that when you think of just the word attraction. So it's like these two kind of opposite energies, and yet that rebelliousness is very attractive. And I think a lot of people are driven by rebelling against something. Not only are we all moving towards something, we're also moving away from something that we no longer want, which in your case, like you said, you scaled your business and then you called your old boss up and you said, I did it, screw you,
Yeah.
look at what I did, and it's
Yeah.
completely normal to have that feeling of like, I told you so, right? And that pushing away, pushing back against something that you don't want. I think that's a big driver for a lot of people. And that's probably what makes it so attractive, your brand, your energy. So I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to that concept of rebellion. right? As a driver, as a motivation, as something that, pushes you from your
Mm.
past into your future, just as well as a vision can pull you from your present
Yeah.
into the future.
Yeah, and I feel as though, to be honest, when I first started, it was very trauma based. Very trauma based. I won't even lie. I
Yeah.
had a really, really tough upbringing. Which had left me with all of those feelings of I'm not good enough, and I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to be anyone. And that was something that obviously subconsciously was really important to me, was to feel like I mattered. Now these days, after many years of healing and doing the work and investing in myself, I feel as though the rebellion comes now from don't tell me how to do it because I've done it. I've done it. Obviously there's things that we haven't done, and I'm more than willing to, with coaches and things like that moving forward, show me those next steps. But there's so many things out there right now coming from coaches. Don't have a low ticket offer because it defaces your brand. Don't have several offers because people are going to get confused. And I'm walking proof that that's not true in a lot of cases. It has to be done well, and it has to be articulated really well. Otherwise, yes, you will cause confusion and you'll be confused yourself. But I think when it's done with the right amount of information and the right amount of data being backed, in why you're doing it that way, you can absolutely do it however the hell you like. And that's really been my motto the whole time, is just do it how you like. There is no right or wrong way to do this. There's going to be fast ways, there's going to be slow ways, there's going to be ways that are, going to get you all crossed up and you're going to be confused, but you're going to naturally start to carve out your own blueprint, and you have to trust yourself in that. And I think that was a huge, huge piece for me, was giving myself the permission to do it however the hell I liked. And when I get stuck, reach out for help. Or when I get stuck, guess what? Do some snow angels in it and sit in it and try and work out, if you can, what that next step is. If you feel as though you can't and you're oscillating, get a coach, invest and move forward. And I really understood that quite early on, was the investing piece. And, when I don't know the next step, who do I reach out to? Not what. It's who. So I really grasped that quite early on, was I needed to build out my tool belt of amazing people that I could call on whenever I didn't know what that next step was going to be. But a lot of it was, removing myself out of the situation. We spend a lot of time in Bali. We live there 6 months of the year. And, for me now, that is my clarity. People are like, oh, you're always in Bali, you're always holidaying, do you ever work? And it's like, well, yeah, I do. But I've become so clear on what I need to move through the motions. And for us, I remove myself from the situation. We go to Bali, and I come back and we're on fire every single time, more and more. Now, some people would be like, that's excessive. But I got to carve this out however the hell I liked. And that's what I wanted it to look like. So that permission piece for me was huge, huge. And I know that it is for a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the beauty of online business, is you really can do it however you want to do it. Everybody's unique. And what works for somebody isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. Like,
Exactly.
every path is unique. Every person has a different vision of how they want their business to function, and
Yeah.
feel to their audience, feel to their clients, feel to themselves, how they want to
Yeah.
engage with it, how they want to show up every day, how much they want to work, when they want to work, where they want to work. And the beauty of the internet is that we now can have whatever we want, essentially. And
Mm.
sometimes it takes time to put those pieces in place, lay
Yeah.
out the yellow brick road, so to speak, and then follow it. But what I love about what you do is that you help people find that path forward. And I'm
Mm.
curious, like, what is your main driver now, right? Like, what is
Yeah.
your vision? What is your why? Because if you were tired of building somebody else's why, there had to be a pretty strong why to
Yeah.
pull you, and you had to realize that in yourself in order to say no to what you didn't
Yeah.
want anymore. So what
Yeah.
is that for you?
I think at the start, my why was my girls. I have two girls, and it was very much ensuring that I was the woman that I didn't have. growing up. That was very much the piece for me. Was, how can I show these little women what it looks like to be driven, motivated, and successful rather than just expecting that from them? That was something that was from as a child, it was expected of me. You will become, you will do, you need to be. And it really didn't land well with me. I think that's probably where the rebellious side started, was don't tell me what to do. And I thought, if I'm going to give this thing called parenting a really good stab, then I probably need to show them what this looks like and be that person. So that was very much my driver at the start. Like I'd already mentioned, it was very much the people that said that I couldn't, especially entering network marketing as my first big business. I mean, can you imagine how many people told me that it's a pyramid scheme and, it's a scam and I can't believe you're doing this? I lost so many people. Maybe I didn't lose them, but my circle changed very, very quickly. But then I also found that my driver changed as well. And when I had that taste of being able to show people what this looked like and having people go, oh my gosh, it's worked. Oh my gosh, my social media. Oh my gosh, I just made a sale. That was so rewarding. So I guess it was that constant being able to prove to myself, yeah, this does work. This really does. And look, she's got results too, and she's got results. And then, over the last 8 years, it's concrete now, that we know what we're doing and we know how to take people on that journey. My driver now is actually passive income. And, I've become really obsessed with the fact that I can actually work less and earn more. And my clients now are more happy than they ever have been. But I haven't had to kill myself in the process. I haven't had to burn myself out. I haven't had to feel overwhelmed. Of course, there was moments of feeling exactly all of those things. But as a whole, for me, working out a way to have really, really smart systems and a business that has an autopilot piece to the puzzle. Yes, I very much still show up, but there's an autopilot piece to the puzzle. And I've kind of got obsessed with that over the last couple of years is, I'm a closet nerd, for anyone that's listening, that's definitely the first piece of the puzzle to understand. I actually really enjoy the tech, hence why we now own a tech company. But for me, I just got so obsessed in, well, how can I actually be making sales while I sleep? And everybody that's purchasing is so happy with what they purchase that they don't actually care what I'm doing. They don't, they're not thinking, oh, well, you should be at the front of the room. And I feel as though with a job, when we're an employee, there's so many expectations of who we should be and what we should be doing, and while you're at work, you need to look a certain way and you need to act a certain way. And, you can't be making sales and sitting down. I remember that was a big one, was you stand on your feet all day because, God, don't you dare make a sale sitting down. And I think to myself, gosh, I've made sales like laying in jacuzzis. I've made sales, sipping margaritas. I've made sales on the back of scooters. We make sales now in the most incredible ways. And, the end result is that everybody that's purchasing is actually probably 10 times more happy than the ones that were purchasing when I was an employee. So I've just got obsessed with that over the years and what that looks like and how can I show others how to have that peace, because there's a lot of talk out there at the moment about time freedom and, 6-figure months and all of these hype things that people are talking about. I've not seen one yet, and I would love to, but I've not seen one yet that is built from, really smart automations and really, really smart systems that's actually going to allow for those results continuously, not just, peaks and troughs. So the journey's been so fun. And to be honest, I was sitting here in this chair at 11 o'clock last night because I came up with this another idea and some more automations that I just found. And now I'm obsessed and off I go again. So I've actually not found the journey to be hard because for me, success means when you can align your purpose and your passion and you can find a way to make money from that as well. To me, that's success. How much you make, I mean, everyone has their personal preference on what that looks like. But to be able to turn that over while I sleep, that's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. So powerful. And I think what holds a lot of people back from, building those systems and
Yeah.
building that infrastructure to support the consistent sales while you sleep, sales on autopilot, I
Mm.
think people feel they need to be front and center in their business all the time. And I think what you figured out, like you just said, people are actually just as happy, if not happier, with
Yeah.
what you're selling when you're not even involved, you're not even visible. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
I see so many people struggle with this. Can you speak to that mindset shift? Was it beliefs? Was it
Yeah.
behaviors? What did you have to tell yourself to really shift from being involved, being at the front row seat,
Mm.
on the stage, literally in your business, to, taking a bit more of a backseat
Yeah.
approach and being able to sell on autopilot without being involved in every single thing that you sell?
Yeah, I love that. So I think it was a feeling, and it was probably borderline mental breakdown, at some point where it was like, I didn't sign up for this. I may as well go and have a 100-hour work week as a job because, at one point that's what I'd given myself. So I really had to anchor into my top three values. And I remember someone saying to me, and I thought this was the most ludicrous thing I'd ever heard when I heard it. I thought this is one of those, like, this is the worst piece of advice I've ever been given moments. And it actually turned out to be one of the most powerful. I just didn't understand it at the time. And he said, firstly, you need to live within your top three values and your life will be the most abundant it can be. And I thought, are you for real? My top three values are communication, inspiration, or education, and adventure, right? Really, really important to me. So you're telling me that if I just meet people, chat to people, communicate with people, and have a ton of fun while I'm doing it, that I'm going to make what I want to make and my life's going to look amazing. You are cooked, guy. Like, this is not true, and it can't be. And honestly, now that's all I do. That's all I do. So the big piece of the puzzle was realizing that it actually is true. That when you actually know what those values are that you want to live within and who you want to become, it becomes so easy to carve out what that needs to look like moving forward. I think also another piece, that was really, really important in that shift for me was understanding that when I did it myself, there was human error. There was so much human error. We would forget to send the email, or, oh my God, I didn't get a client to sign a proposal before I started working with them. And now it's going to be awkward to go back and do that. And all of these pieces of the puzzle that I had to think about and I had to remember. We can all have staff and team, but they only do so much, right? Until it's, if they haven't been taught correctly, or, hey, there was no checklist on actually onboarding staff either. So I found that the big shift for me was allowing automation to take the hold, not because I didn't want to do it and not because I was too lazy and I didn't want to show up, but because now we've almost reduced human error inside the business. So the reason that my clients are happier now is because when they're onboarded, bang, step one, do this. Step two, do this. Here's, step three is over here. And it's very clear. Whereas if I have, two kids running around, one's at cheerleading, one's, God knows where, and all these things are going on, and I'm trying to now remember, okay, did I send email one, or did they reply? Oh, it's lost in my emails, all this room for error. So I'm finding that the clarity piece inside the business is absolutely rock solid, because when people come on board, the automations are so well thought out and activated in a way where that client is so clear on what is expected, what needs to be done, what we need from you next, and we just have this seamless process that flows. So I think a lot of people that will come to us and they're overwhelmed about the tech side of it, they're overwhelmed about what it looks like to build out these types of things, quickly realize that, rather than thinking about eating the elephant, just start with those couple of little bites, and that we've got your back, and we know exactly where you need to be at that certain time. So that's been a journey that I've seen unfold for a lot of clients. What I do hear a lot is, I'm not techie. I'm not techie. And it's like, well, you know what? In a world of digital everything, there has to be a portion of you that's willing to step into that space. I've heard a lot of people talking about, I do 6-figure months and I don't have sales pages, and that looks like burnout. It looks like burnout. It might look really pretty in your marketing, but it looks like burnout in the back end. So, not being techie is one thing, that's okay. But just being willing to at least be taught in bite-sized pieces is another. Because one thing that stands out to me the most in the online space, that most people have this story when they come to us, is that I need a website. Okay, cool. So I'll go to Wix, I'll go to Squarespace, I'll just get a website for now. I need to send out some email marketing. Okay, cool. I'll go get Klaviyo or, MailChimp or something like that. Because I just need something for now, right? I just need something for now. Okay, cool. I need a payment gateway. All right, maybe I'll make that just happen off Squarespace because it's easy and my website's already built there. Now I need a course. Okay, Kajabi or Cart Truck, because my girlfriend's got that and she said it was really good. What we end up with is this sticky taped business that, yes, that might serve you at the start just to get you across the line. But what's going to happen after is, disconnections. You're not going to have that clarity yourself, but you're also not going to trust your systems because they're going to fail. There's, like when you get two bits of metal and you weld them together, there is a weak spot where that weld happened. No matter what, if it's going to break, that's where it's going to break. And that's what I see the most of, is the resistance in, but I already have it all built. Yeah, but your CEO version of you, the version of you that is doing the 6-figure months or the $1 million years or whatever that big goal is, that big 5 to 10 year vision, are your systems built to be able to back something like that and back the lifestyle that you actually want to build? And, hence why we're called Lifestyle Industries, is we're so focused on people that understand and catch the vision on, I want to build a lifestyle that allows me to have time for my children. I want to earn more. I want to work less. I want to travel the world. I want to hang out with my dog. I want to knit all day, whatever that looks like for them. And making sure that you're actually building it like that now. Otherwise, the reality is you don't have an exit strategy. And you've literally just proven your boss right. If I was to put myself in my own shoes here, and I would have proven to my boss that, what, it's all going to fall apart. Businesses like that don't work. It's all going to fall apart. And like hell, that was going to happen. So that's really been the journey in all of this. Was this entire company was built from the exact pains that I had, that everyone else struggles with as well, except I knew that there had to be a better way. I knew, and I got really, really obsessed with my exit strategy. And I think, like our children, we get so caught up in how we think we should talk about our business. And, but I love my business and I don't ever want to stop doing it. And it's like, come on, let's get serious, right? You did not start this business so that when you're 95 and you're on your deathbed, you're thinking, I better call Mary back. Like, no, you're done with it by then, yeah? And there has to be some type of exit strategy. Yes, of course, for me, I still want to be showing up in the business, but I want to choose where. I want to choose where I show up in the business, and I want to be able to have automations, an amazing team, be able to hold the fort for me and still, have a business that's running when I'm on my deathbed. Because what a legacy to leave for my girls is, hey, here's a business that's running. It's run me through my life. It can run you through yours if you be really smart about how you run it. And God knows how long it could be running for if my girls chose to continue to learn and grow every single day like I did. I mean, that's what real legacy looks like. Not leaving my children with a business that's sticky taped together that they couldn't even run if they tried, because they walk in and just, instantly it gives them anxiety and it gives them all the feels that I was trying to run away from. So, yeah, I think for me it's such a bigger picture, is that not only watch me whip, but watch me whip this business for many years to come. That was so, so important for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The generational impact of what you're creating by building that foundation, right? Like if you build a
Yeah.
foundation correctly, the
Yeah.
building's going to last for decades. If
Yep.
you build on a shaky foundation,
Mm.
the building's going to fall apart. And I say this to my clients all the time, like you need that foundation. A lot of people go out,
Yeah.
start building their business, and they start building the framework. They start putting in the drywall. They start putting in the furniture and doing all of the interior
Yeah.
design, like all the fun, pretty stuff, right?
Yes.
Instead of laying the foundation first so they can
Mm.
build in a sustainable and scalable way. And I love that
Yeah.
you pointed out how, it's like duct taping stuff together. It's
Mm.
literally trying to
Mm.
pull various aspects together over time, because as you scale, you see, oh yeah, now I need this, now I need that, now I need this, and you start stacking it up. And I see
Yeah.
these businesses, very successful businesses, right? Like some of the biggest names in
Oh,
the
yeah.
online space. And I'll go into their stuff and like they've got a sales page built on one platform and then they've got an email coming from another platform and they're doing multiple millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And the workaround has been to hire more team members, to bring more people
Mm.
on board, to fill those gaps for them, to
Yep.
basically cover up inefficiencies. And can you imagine how much more successful their business could be? Not that it isn't already, but how much more
Yeah.
successful if it was more efficient, better designed, stronger foundation, and
Mm.
there weren't those that lack of systemization, that lack of seamlessness,
Yeah.
where you're constantly having to go out and find more people to patch
Yeah.
those holes and duct tape
Yes.
more things together. That's my biggest pet peeve in this industry, probably above
Yeah.
everything else. And
I'm
ultimately,
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. Like I'm actually starting to be like, if you could see me on camera right now, it's like, oh my God, I just, you're right. Like
yes,
these businesses that are multi millions. And, what I see is a lot of talk of abundance and, we need to be aligned. And there's so many of these words that are thrown out by some of these coaches.
buzzwords.
And the biggest problem that I see with all of this is the business is bleeding. Bleeding. And the first step to abundance is knowing your figures and knowing exactly what's going on inside your business. And you don't need to have 28 different subscriptions that are costing you $2, $3, $4, $500 a month, because that's what she's got, and I think a lot of these systems and softwares that we see, they just have really good marketing. That's it. Really, really good marketing. So if anything, just have a look at their marketing and take some tips. But really knowing, like, you have to sit down and work out in 10 or 15 years time, or like however long you want to be playing this game for. If you go, I want to make $10 million in the next 5 years, well, damn girl, you better be sitting down and making sure that your foundations are rock solid, because it's doable. It's totally doable, but your systems are going to have to support you on the way rather than hinder you on the way. And yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think we need to have a get more systems party, where we're out here with our banners, shaking them around. And it's like, you might make millions, but you're bleeding millions as well. And I used to be
Exactly.
fooled by a lot of that. I used to be so fooled, and I used to put people on pedestals and be like, oh my God, she's doing something better than me. Or, what's she doing that I'm not? And how can my business look like hers? And to be honest, hand on heart, now, at the level that we're at now, 6 years into the journey, there's not one business that I've looked at and gone, whew, Jesus, she's giving me a run for my money here, and that's not coming from a place of I'm better than. It's coming from the place of I've done my due diligence and I've learned. And most of these, huge corporations that we're seeing in the online space right now, like you said, are really actually bleeding. And rather than bragging about I've got 14 staff, I'm like, really, why do you need that many? Like, you could probably have
Yeah,
four, you
let's
know
lean out a bit.
Yeah. It's not always a flex, you know. Sometimes it is,
Right.
but yeah, sometimes, like you said, it's just it's been sticky tape together, and honestly, like we call it 100-mile-an-hour tape or duct tape. You know, it's what you use for your first car, the bumper on your first car, right? Not for your business.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, what's the point of making $1 million if you're spending
Yeah.
999,000 on all of your expenses, right? Your huge
Yes.
team and all of your different platforms and all of your marketing, all of your ads. And it's like, you can scale, but scaling sustainably is an art and it's a science as well. I think that's
Yeah.
what a lot of people are missing. And I actually would love for you to speak to this, like the
Yes.
concept of moving from feminine to masculine energies, right? This is a big buzzword, buzz term in the online space
Mm.
is like being in the feminine energy, right? Being in your feminine, being the receiver, right? I have this conversation a lot, and people think of tech and systems and automations as being more of a masculine thing. It's
Yeah.
structural, it's sciency, right? It's data driven. But
Mm.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that once those systems are set up, and once your business is making sales on autopilot, that's actually opening the door to a whole world of feminine receptivity. That's opening the door
Oh,
to
yeah.
a world where you can take care of yourself, right? You can have like self care every single day. You can go for a spa day on a Wednesday. You can travel the world if you want to. And isn't that like actually the most beautiful and most quote unquote feminine thing when
Yeah.
the systems in your business actually support you in living the lifestyle that you want, right? So, can you speak a
100%.
little bit to that and how people can shift into that energy, at least initially, to get their ducks in a row and get things set up so that then they can step back into the receptivity?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love these. I'm sure like we could talk, I'm feeling like for the next 4 or 5 hours on this. But it's such an important piece. And a client recently said to me, she said, Mel, you're my mass. And I was like, you're what? She's like, you're my mass. You're my masculine. And I was like, wow, I've never actually seen it put that way. Because tech is something that I'm so interested in, I don't find that I'm in my masculine to do it because it's not a hard concept for me. But for her, she's very, very spiritual, very, very woo woo, you know, and that's her jam. And we are actually so well connected due to that. But she said to me, you know, I can't hold that pillar. She said, so I came to you so you could hold that pillar for me. And I was like, wow, how cool is that? You know, is that she knew, remember going back to what I said before about she knew who she needed in her tool belt so that she could work in all the energies that she wants to be in, you know, and continuing to heal and grow her business and all of those things. She gets to play in the energy that she wants to be in, but she hasn't failed to understand that she still needs masculine energy inside her business. Otherwise, nothing's going to get done. Right, the feminine's very much like it's the play, it's the, you know, it's the vulnerability and all of those things, and that masculine piece is the doing, the thinking, the putting in place, the strategy. And she's like, I don't really want to play in that space. I need you to help me get there. And I just thought, how powerful is that, you know, that realization that she had. So yeah, I kind of marketed like that recently was I'm your mass. I'm the person that you can bring into your business when you don't feel as though you have or you're not interested to have that energy constantly. But I feel as though there has to be a piece of you that you kind of got to push yourself to be in it in some way, shape, or form, because you can't have somebody like myself come inside your business and just do it for you. That's not the answer. That's actually really disempowering. And again, this is what I see people doing is, oh no, I just hired someone, they built everything out for me. Oh great, how's that going for you? Do you know how to edit your own course? Do you know how to make any changes? No, oh no, you don't. Okay, right. So now you have to hire again. So, like you were saying, you know, it's this vicious cycle. So, for us, you know, that piece with this particular client was about getting her to step into that masculine, but not in a really large capacity. It would have been too much, but little bite sized pieces where it's like, hey, I'm going to give you an email template, right? And all I want you to do is feel into just the email template. That's it. Don't think about the fact that we're building out courses and memberships and funnels and low ticket offers, and like don't even just, let's just pretend that's not there right now, and let's just focus on this one little thing. So I think it's really about who you're working with as well, and them being able to marry with you in that time that they work together. And I'm seeing so many things online right now about, oh, I do 6-figure months and I don't even do sales calls. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But if you're wanting to, and for me, particularly in what we do, if I'm wanting to have people that are going to build out systems, no matter whether they're sitting in that feminine or masculine energy, and no matter what their businesses look like, then I need to be able to marry that person that time that we work together. And you know what? If they come to me and they're at 10% that day, you know what? I'm going to run at 90. Yeah. And some days they're going to come to me and they're going to be at 90, and I'm going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, we just back it up to 10 because we just got to slow this down. So I think, the understanding of what it looks like as well, and the fact that people do actually get really fearful of being overwhelmed. And this is why they won't go ahead with building those really strong foundations, because I don't understand it and I'm not techie. They've already decided what it looks like. So, I think this piece is, have the courage to just have a look. Have the courage to actually find somebody that will work with you in your zones of genius at the pace that you need it to be. So the end result is we're still going to get it done, but we're going to break that down into, a palatable way for you to digest that. And this is why one size fits all wouldn't work with a structure like this. And this is why, things looking exactly the same and the process being the same for everybody wouldn't work. So that bespoke blueprint and knowing how to get people to that end result is really the magic in all of it. And the reward for showing up is that your foundations are so goddamn rock solid that you can go and do whatever you want. You can build out any program, any course, any subscription, anything you like moving forward, and that system's going to support you to continue to grow from there. So I think it's a courage piece, and it's a get out of your own way piece of, if you want to be a big girl with a big business and a big bank account, then you're going to have to. You have to look into your systems. And it's the business not pretty. To most people, it's not pretty. To me, it's like the bee's knees. But to most people, they're like, I don't even want to deal with it, But the reality is that if you want to be paid while you sip pina coladas in the Bahamas, then that's the first piece of the puzzle that you need to map out.
1,000%, 1,000%. And I would actually argue that it is the biggest thing that separates the 6-figure earners from the 7-figure earners, from, the 7 and beyond, from, solopreneur to CEO. That is really what sets people apart, is that level of having a solid foundation to scale upon, because otherwise you hit a certain point and everything underneath you just collapses and falls apart. And that never feels good. And that's always going to just absolutely implode your business. So I love it. I love what you're doing.
I think there's also a portion where people are like, but I've already got all of that. So I don't want to rebuild it again. But again, the same thing will happen. If you've already got all of that, but it's been sticky taped together, you will get to a point where you'll hit a glass ceiling because your systems won't allow you to scale any further. The cost will be through the roof to run the systems and softwares that you have. B, the failures in the back end will be so prevalent that you'll be spending more time, or your team will be spending more time, on fixing things rather than growing things. So it's inevitable. Whether you build it at the start or you refuse to build it because you've already got it, it's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. Or you're going to be absolutely bleeding your profit. So why was it worth it in the first place? If you're making $1 million and spending 900,000, it's not coming from a place of abundance. It's actually coming from a place of scarcity and lack.
Absolutely. Absolutely so true. I mean, so much gold in everything that you said today. I mean, incredible. And I'm so grateful that you are shedding some light on this subject
Yeah.
because everybody skips it, everybody overlooks it. And I'm curious, if there's one thing that you could impart to, a new solopreneur, newer business
Mm.
owner, somebody who's really just trying to get off the ground, could be, could be strategic, could be more energetic. What's the one thing that you would tell someone if you could go back and tell yourself?
Ali, why just one? You're killing me. Okay. Um, knowing what I know now, it would be reverse engineer your ideal lifestyle because that's what we all want. Doesn't matter who you are. We are all building towards more time freedom, more money, more travel, less work, whatever that is. I would say that the one piece that would serve you extremely well would be to reverse engineer your ideal lifestyle right back to exactly what you need to be doing right now. And every 3 to 6 months, looking at, am I still heading in the right direction? Because we get shiny object syndrome, and just keep making sure that you haven't fallen off that path. And if you can do that, that's when your results will be quite quick. They'll be very clear as well because all you have to do is walk that yellow brick road. There's going to be speed bumps, there's going to be things that are going to trip you up, but you're going to be so focused on exactly what needs to be done. And, maybe it won't take you, 5 or 6 years to build out your empire. It might only take you a year or two, but that might not be important to you either. So making sure that in that reverse engineering, what's the time frame? What's the time frame that you want this, And if you're somebody that wants $1 million in the next 2 years, then damn, you better make sure that you are ready to put the pedal to the metal and you're not scared of hard work. And you're also not looking around you at all these people that are saying, I worked 1 minute this month and I earned $100,000. Like, most of it's not true. I would say 90% of it that I've seen is not true. Unless you have seen the exact structure and you've seen the figures to match, then you need to make sure that you're building whatever this is that you're building. A, you're doing it your way. B, you're having fun as you go. And C, that you're not going to want to divorce your business by the time you get to where you're going. But what's that exit strategy? Are you selling the business? Because it needs to be built very, very differently if that's the case. Are you giving the business to the kids? If that's the case, then it needs to be rock solid. Otherwise, it's not even going to be standing by the time it's time to give it to them. Are you wanting to retire into the business? Okay, cool. Well, then you're going to want to have a pretty badass team behind you that can hold the fort and that do know how this business runs and that are as driven as you and as excited as you are about building it. And I think if you can sit down and reverse engineer that, and who do you need in your tool belt to bring this to life? You're already 100 steps ahead of where you need to be.
So true. So true. I love that exit strategy. Huge.
Mm.
Well, I love everything that you said today, and there's so much here for our listeners. Where can they find you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can find us at www.lifestyleind.com. Find us on all the social media platforms. Facebook is it for us, always has been. So definitely reach out there.
Awesome. Awesome. And we'll drop the links in the show notes. And is there anything that you want to share with our audience? Any
Yes.
gift you can give away?
Yes, I do. I actually want to give all of your listeners my top 50 performing Facebook posts. So, organic marketing has been it for us, and how we've built our business to be booked and banked, for the last 8 years. And I'm going to give you word for word the Facebook posts. Obviously, there's a consistency behind it, right? So, you can't just put up one post and expect insane results. But if you are consistent, some of these Facebook posts are generating anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 a pop. So I'm going to give you those exact wordings. Some of them will help you increase your engagement. Some of them will, ruffle some feathers and allow you to really start stepping into that true, authentic version of yourself. If swearing is not your thing, maybe don't download the document because we are pretty straight up over here. So there are some posts that are, they're really direct and really straightforward, but I think that you'll have a lot of fun with it. And hopefully, I do get a lot of messages from people saying, "Oh my God, I just put that post up and it's blowing up." So if that's the case, definitely make sure you tag us because I'd love to see what it does for you as well.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, we all love a little spice. That's
Yes,
perfect.
yes,
Well, thank you so much for being here today. This
you're
was an amazing
welcome.
conversation, and I really, really appreciate spending the time together.
Awesome, Ali. Thank you.